that is a little bit about me, just some fun facts for anyone who's not familiar with me. And I'm just really excited that you guys are here and that I get to be here, and that I get to share this information with you. It's one of my great passions in life, is sharing with people the things that I care about, and finding ways that helps them as well. So that's my goal for today. I want to talk about the 5 ways or 5 things that you can do for your business during quarantine to help it grow. And so you will get some practical tools at the end of this. So keep that in mind. Again, if you have questions, feel free to put them either in the chat or in the Q&A section. We will look at that at the end. I've scheduled some extra time at the end for us to look at that. But let's dive in, since that's what you're here for, and anyone else who joins us is wonderful and they will just jump in with us. So the 5 things we're going to cover today is, first, we're going to talk about your website and SEO and optimizing that. Second, we're going to talk about optimizing your social media accounts and profiles. Third, we're going to talk about your goals for 2020 and how we can refine them in light of the coronavirus. Fourth, we're going to talk about new ways that you can connect digitally. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how to network online. So those last 2 kind of go hand in hand, but they're pretty different in the way that you can approach them. So let's get started. All right. So first, updating your website and SEO. The first thing you're going to want to do is just go in and make sure that your content is up to date. If you have any changes in regards to the coronavirus, like for example, if your place of business is closed or you have altered hours, things like that, make sure that you put some kind of announcement or update on your site that's easy for people to see. And then also make sure your photos, videos, links, and navigation are all exactly the way that you want them and that are most helpful to your potential clients or your current clients. The best thing to do is to approach all of this with your client hat on. So think about, okay, who am I hoping is coming to my website, and what are they going to expect? How are they going to expect to get to where they want to go? And what roadmap am I going to get them? Is it going to be easy for them to figure out how to make an appointment with me, to contact me, to purchase my services or product? Thinking through all those things and going back through your website and updating that, making sure that your photos are of high resolution and that they make sense with the content on your page. So that's the first thing that you can go through. To give you an example, here's an example of not the greatest website. So it's a Penny Juice website. The reason this is not ideal is it's just a lot going on. The colors are really, really bright, which isn't always a bad thing, but it can be a little bit off-putting. So finding the right balance of what's going to look best and goes with your brand. It also can be kind of difficult to navigate. You're not really sure what it is that they do upon first glance, and covering the faces of people, especially the eyes, it just does not give the best first impression. So not the greatest website examples, so kind of stay away from that. The second example that I have is a great updated site. So you can see that the brand colors all flow together, that it makes sense, that it doesn't kind of make anyone's eyes squint or feel uncomfortable. They have a video there, and it all looks updated and goes along with their brand. It's easy to figure out where to click, what to do, and where to find the information that you're looking for. So those are 2 examples of different kinds of websites, and just thinking through, okay, who are my clientele? How are they most likely to want to navigate this site? And where do I want them to go? Where do I want their endpoint to be? And help them define that in the easiest, most simple way possible. So that's the first piece of that. The second piece I want to talk about is updating your SEO. So for anyone who's not familiar with this, SEO is short for search engine optimization. And search engine optimization is pretty much what it sounds like. It helps different search engines like Google or Bing find your content and file it away so that when people search for a particular topic or phrase, Google's able to quickly bring that content to the forefront for them to find it and access your content. So a couple definitions that are helpful to know if you're completely new to it is indexing. And the way I like to think about that is Google has this big file cabinet, and they just put it all in and index it according to your site and how you set it up, so that when someone searches for your content, they can easily pull it and provide it to them. Crawl or crawling, you might hear about crawlers or spiders. This is Google's AI that goes across your website, and they do this constantly. So anytime you make an update to your site, anytime that you make small tweaks or things like that, there are these little bots that are crawling all over the internet through links and on sitemaps to update that content, so that the information that Google has and that they provide to the person searching is up to date and the best possible content. So those are just two things that are really helpful to understand when talking to someone about SEO or looking into how to update yours. So a couple of practicals, because I know you guys want practicals. The first is to go and check out the Google Search Console. So what this is basically is you're going to see how Google indexes your content. So there's two ways you can do this. The first one, which you'll see on the left-hand side there, is you just type in site : and then your domain. So I did mine, and it should pop up all the different pages for your website. And so this is really helpful because you can see, okay, are these all my pages? Are these pages that I would expect to come up? Is there someone else's website that's popping up here? Is there no result at all? That helps you to know how Google is accessing and filing your content. The second piece is that picture on the right, which is the Google Search Console, and they've recently done some serious upgrades on this, which is really cool because so many people have been going in and updating their search content, and SEO, they needed to give people more access to data and things like that. So you can go in, and I do the left-hand, the darker gray box. You put your domain in, and basically it'll tell you whether or not you've been verified with Google. And if you haven't, they'll give you the steps and the tools to be able to go in and make sure that you are. So depending upon what site platform you build with, this could look different. But that's why it's important to go in and check your website and make sure that it's logged in there. The thing to note is that sometimes it can take a couple hours, depending upon how big your site is, for different things to propagate. And so making sure that you kind of check in, if it doesn't show up the first time, but you just built this site or you just added something new, give it a little bit, update it, and then come back and check later. And if there's any big problems, you can always reach out. Just know that Google's, just like everyone's support staff, are overrun right now, and so they won't be able to help immediately. If you have questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I did this recently for one of my web design clients, and it was really, really simple. So that's the first piece there. The second thing that you should do is check out these free tools, the HubSpot Website Grader and Neil Patel's Ubersuggest. So HubSpot and Neil Patel are some of the top online companies. So Neil specializes in SEO and marketing online. So I've learned a lot from him. He has a lot of free resources. Like, if you're ever just curious, go check him out. And then HubSpot has a lot of really awesome tools for digital marketing. So both of these essentially do a little bit the same thing. You put in your domain and it tells you, okay, how does this perform? What's wrong with it? What can you improve? What's maybe broken? All that kind of stuff. The Website Grader's very helpful. It's a good kind of overall look. And Ubersuggest goes a little bit deeper into that. So I'll share both of these links in the follow-up email from this webinar, but I really love Ubersuggest. I mean, I went in and I had just updated my site and I thought I had done every little thing, and then I put it in and they were like, hey, here's a broken link, or here's this thing that doesn't look right, or like this header is different. All of that kind of stuff can be really, really helpful. And so check those out. They're 100% free. And then right now they're also, I know Neil Patel's Ubersuggest tool, they're currently offering more things for free for the purpose of helping businesses during the coronavirus. So definitely check those out. I cannot recommend them enough. All right, so our third piece here is going to be making updates to your site. So we touched on this a little bit, but go through and take the information that you obtain from that Google Search Console, from the Website Grader and Ubersuggest, and go and update your site. especially if you have extra time on your hands, or if you just really want to make sure that your website is the best it can be. Go in and change your content and your SEO as needed. Do know that this can take, and normally does take, hours to do depending upon what you have to update. It is a pretty tedious task. So take what you need and what you want to do and break it down over the course of a few hours or a few days, because that can, otherwise it can just get to be a lot. What's really nice about Ubersuggest is they list basically how vital or important a particular issue is. So for example, if you have a site link that is broken, they'll tell you, hey, this is a really high priority because this is currently impacting how Google ranks your content and indexes your content. So go through and make those updates. Okay, so I know that's a lot. That's number one. Let's go on to number two. So the second thing that I want to talk about is updating and optimizing your social media profiles. So there's 1,010,000 platforms, it feels like, and people are spending more and more time on them as they're spending more time at home. So going in and making sure that your platforms, profiles, all that fun stuff is up to date and really is working for you is really, really important. So the first thing that I recommend you doing, and I recently did this, is to optimize your profile headers. So here's a couple examples of my Twitter and LinkedIn page. I'm currently, as you can see, offering 75% off a Shopify site for anyone impacted by the coronavirus. And so I wanted to share that with people. And I put that in the header because whenever someone clicks onto my profile, they're going to see that. It's obviously eye-catching. They can't miss it. And so it can be really helpful. So whether it's branded content, whether it's big announcements or marketing materials or anything like that, making sure that your header is of high resolution, that it looks good, that you're thinking intentionally about the design. So for example, on that LinkedIn one on the left, you see that I left a lot of space on that left side because I didn't want it to get covered up by the profile picture. So thinking about those things is really helpful. Not all platforms allow you to edit the header, but being able to go in and do that for the ones that do can really help to promote your content without having to constantly push out posts. So that's the first thing. Really simple, really easy. You can use Canva, which is a free resource for graphic design. It's really, really fun and easy. All right, the second piece is to optimize your profile bios. So this could be going in and making sure that it matches your brand, that it is clear about what you do. Maybe it's just a fun little tweak. Maybe you've had the same bio in your Instagram for years and you're just like, all right, I'm sick of this. Let's update it. All that kind of stuff. Making sure that the URLs that you provide in your bios take your visitors to the places you want them to go. So one really great tool that is also free is Linktree, and it's an Instagram URL that allows you to have multiple links in your URL. So what's great is for free, it looks exactly like you would see on that left-hand side. It has a little branding at the bottom, and it's pretty basic, but it works really well. For $6 a month, you can go to Pro and be able to brand it with your colors, all that jazz. But those can be really, really helpful. The important thing to note here is to make sure that when you're updating your bio, that it is specific to each of your platforms. So for example, Pinterest doesn't allow you to use hashtags. Well, you can put them in there, but they're not going to work in your bio. So there's no point in putting it in there. But Instagram or Facebook or Twitter, it's really great to put those hashtags in there so that people can find your content as well. So checking that out, going in, making sure that you're utilizing each profile as is, best practice. All right, the third piece is to engage on your platforms. And we'll kind of dive into this a little more later too, but taking the time to really make social media social. I know that for some people, this may be like, oh gosh, I don't want to do this. Like I'm just on social media so I can be there. But right now, that's where people are spending their time. There's just so many more people spending time on Instagram, exploring TikTok, all these different things. And so if you can meet them where they're at, you're going to help yourself and your business in the long run. So this could be things like liking, retweeting, sharing, encouraging, like just engaging with the content that people put out there, responding to comments as they come in, all of those different kinds of things, depending upon the platform, making sure that you are engaging the best you can on them. So for example, for my business and for my clients, I go in and I spend about 15, sometimes 30 minutes a day for each of them, which does add up to be a lot. So I break it up over the day. And I just engage for them. So sometimes it's, if it's a LinkedIn profile, I might go in and share an interesting news article and, make a point that's from their perspective, things like that. So that can be really, really helpful to build your presence and to engage with your ideal clients there. All right. The next one is we're going to talk about goal setting. So if you are like me, maybe you love goals, maybe some of you don't. That's okay too. But I'm sure everybody's goals have just kind of been screwed up by the recent coronavirus. So this is a great time to revisit those goals, to go in and check and see where you're at. I do this quarterly for my goals, both personal and professional. So going in, checking in on how you're doing, making new goals, whatever works for you, make sure that you utilize this time to do that. What's great is I have created a resource, a goal guide, which I'll send to you in that follow-up email, and it's based off of Michael Hyatt's Full Focus Planner, which I use and I love it. And so it is a really great tool to just help guide you through the goal setting process. All right, so next we're going to talk about experimenting with new ways to connect. So this could be, going on Instagram stories or hosting an IGTV or, getting into Facebook groups and sharing threads on Twitter, whatever it might be. Explore these different avenues. Take the time to learn it, especially TikTok. I know I've been like, I don't want to get on that. That's for, all these young people, which I'm like, I was a young person once, I felt like, but now it's all these high schoolers. That is changing so quickly. More and more businesses are online. They're amping up and preparing to start doing ads on TikTok and really for businesses to utilize it, but it's a completely different platform, and to excel and succeed on that platform looks different than any others. So if you have some extra time, get ahead of the curve, join TikTok, explore that, and create some content. Especially if your clients aren't looking for you there, this is the time to experiment and see, okay, does this work? Does it not? What's going on? So that's really, really helpful. All right, and lastly, networking digitally. So again, Facebook groups, LinkedIn groups, these are really, really important, especially as we're spending more time at home and online. So taking 15 to 30 minutes a day to go into these groups, engage with people, share advice, ask questions, all these different things is really helpful. So whether it's, these are just a couple I'm a part of: Freelance DC, the Rising Tide Society, Jobs and Gigs, Honeybook, and then obviously HeraHub. These are all really great networking opportunities, and just go in with the mentality and the attitude to serve first. So think last, self-promotion is last, unless it's obvious and they're calling for it, and think first to come in ready to serve, ready to communicate and to build those relationships. Just a little side note, in my Freelance DC group, that is where I found my highest paying client a while back, and it was really, really cool. I connected with someone and they said, hey, I have this person, they need help, and I was able to help them, and it benefited me and my business. Pretty much all of my clients have come through HeraHub in some way, shape, or form, and getting to know the women and the men in that community is really great. So definitely taking advantage of those is important. All right, I know that was a lot. We kind of zoomed a quick flyover. Now's the time for the Q&A. So if you have questions, feel free to send them in. Let's see, Susan, you asked, is there a charge for HubSpot or Ubersuggest? There's not. Those are completely free tools. They're really, really helpful and awesome. And you can even create accounts with Ubersuggest and do some SEO. Like that one, y'all, I can't even begin. It is so robust for a free tool that's available to anyone, and they really want to help businesses succeed. So highly, highly recommend that. All right, let's see. Okay, we've got a couple questions. Can you say the name of the free graphic design tool? Yes, it's Canva. So it's like Canvas without the S at the end. It's 100% free. There are some, it's like a freemium. So, but you can do a lot with that. And then TikTok. How is TikTok different from other social media outlets? So TikTok, for anyone who's not familiar, is a video platform, and it is essentially 15 to 60-second videos where most of the time it's overlaid with music, and basically it is a wide variety of people. The most popular videos on there are people who are dancing, people maybe who are sharing funny stories, people who are just telling weird and funny stories in funny voices. Definitely think about everything a high schooler would love and put it into an app. That's what is currently kind of dominating on that. But we're seeing more and more people go onto that platform. So for example, I have a TikTok for myself and then also for my business, and I just uploaded some new videos, and they're really fun and funny. They take a little time, but they're really quick and really short, and they're about like anything. All right, let's see. So we have another question. Which social media platform do you think leads to most work/revenue? And then I had a graphic. Oh, nice. Okay, so Susan says she had a cool design idea on Canva, and then she had a graphic artist customize it. That is an awesome idea, especially if you have access to someone who can do that custom work. Definitely do that. Susan, you also asked, which social media platform do you think leads to the most work/revenue? So this is a great, great question. And my answer is it really depends upon your business. So if you have, like a lot of times influencers, they're gonna really succeed on Instagram. Or if you have something that is very visual, Instagram, Pinterest, those kinds of platforms are really, really effective. Whereas for some of my more technical clients, like I have a couple tech companies I work with, their people are showing up on Twitter and LinkedIn. And so it really depends upon kind of where your clientele show up, which I know is not the easiest answer, but that's kind of the nuance there. All right, let's see, what else do you do? So Robin, I do web design, and I do some digital graphics. I use Canva, but I know a few actual like professional graphic designers that I'd be more than happy to connect you with. But my specialty is social media marketing, web design, email marketing, and I'm starting to really dive into SEO. That's an awesome question. All right. When you're looking at SEO for one, can you tell us what number? Organic keywords. Oh, that's a great question. Okay, so the question is, when we're looking at SEO for our websites, can you tell us what numbers represent a successful website? Example, what is an ideal number of organic keywords? That is a very good question. We're going to dive into that a little bit more next week, but my first kind of response is, again, it depends. So the way that SEO works is it's driving opportunities for people to see your content. So the best way I would say to say that you have a successful website is if you are within the first page of Google. So if someone types in, let's see, so for me, so for digital marketing strategies, what I'm ultimately want is if someone says, okay, digital marketing strategy DC, or just digital marketing strategy, I want my website to be one of the top 3 websites that come up on Google in that blue links, because we have the ads and any shopping or anything like that, and then you have the blue links, which are all the organic traffic and links. And so if I want to consider my SEO to be successful, I'm going to show up in those top 1, 2, and 3 spots, and use that. The hard thing there is with keywords, it's all about the competition. So for example, if someone like digital marketing strategies is going to be a very, very competitive keyword, whereas maybe, I don't know, female owned Westfall strategies or something, like something that no one's going to be searching for. If I'm ranking and including that in my keywords, I'm going to rank much higher for that. So I know that's kind of a lot. I'm happy to dive into that some more with you, but it really depends upon what keywords you use, and there's not necessarily like an optimal number. And they all cost a different amount as well, which can be really tricky if you're looking into ads and things like that. But as far as how to consider is successful is how high can you rank on Google. And something to note there too is it normally takes anywhere from 18 to 24 months for SEO organically to bring about that traffic and get you to that spot. So that's also why it's really great to start now, because especially if you're in a niche market, you might already be ranking pretty high, but if you're in a really big market, it may be that you have to really put in the work over a long period of time to organically rank pretty high. So again, I could go in forever about that, but that can be really helpful. Oh yeah, Julia, great point. Getting reviews on Google also helps you to be on the first page. So anytime that you can get more and more people to talk about your business, and especially talk about it well, whether it's talking about it on Google review pages or sharing their content or your content on their platforms, that will always increase your authority, which will help you to boost up on that as well. So, okay, let's see. I think we've got a couple more. Okay, Robin says, if you are launching a new website, do you have to start from scratch with SEO? The answer is yes. So that's where it's really, really helpful, and where I'm going to encourage you to come back next week, because we're going to talk about not just the keywords that you use, but even how you structure your site. And so if you're starting from scratch, making sure that you're creating your website and your web pages with your SEO in mind is really, really important. So that's an awesome question. To invest a lot of time and money into your website. Okay, so that's a great question. You asked if a huge percentage of your business comes from referrals and your website is a validation of business for new referrals. Do you think it's important to invest a lot of time and money on your website? Oh, Robin, meaning you have a, okay, so that first question about investing time and money, I would say it is definitely worth the investment. In the sense of having the best structured website that you can. Now, most of the time with SEO, the cost there is really only going to come in if you have different tools that you're using or you're hiring someone to do it. But for the most part, doing that, the really only cost is your time. And then if you do Google Ads is where those keywords can get more expensive. I think setting up your website to be like optimized for your clients is vital, because it's your first impression for a lot of people. Even if they find you through social media, all that kind of stuff, people are going to look at your website and they can make a split decision about whether or not they think you're a valid business and someone worth working with. So I do think it's worth it, but definitely weighing the pros and cons and looking at your budget can be really helpful. All right, so if we're starting with a new website, but you have an old website, so here's what I'll say for that. If you're updating an old website, you don't necessarily have to start over with SEO if you're just updating the content, because you can go in, you can update it, and Google will go in and re-index all of that. If you're starting brand new from scratch with a new domain and everything like that, that's where you really are starting from scratch. So that's a great question. Okay, awesome. I know a couple people